Good evening. Welcome to the Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club. Thank you for your patience while we sorted things out. We meet every Tuesday here at the Hy-Vee meeting room, 7:40. And now it's my pleasure to introduce the one and only, the president of our Toastmasters Club, Jean Symington Craig.
Thank you, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, lots of guests tonight, and our viewers at home. Yes, thank you. We do seem to be in the cold flu season a little bit, so we have some people working on that at home. But that's why it's really great that we have guests here. Let's go ahead and say hello to each of you. We had this group last week, and we have more people today. Maybe I could just have you guys go around, just stand, say your name and where you're from and what brought you here tonight. Well, actually, we know what brought you here, because Czar said you really ought to go, right? Okay. Or just you could just say what class you're in. Okay?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Friat Buhari, and I am from Ethiopia. I came here to US for studying. And I came here tonight because I would like to improve my public speaking. That's all.
My name is David. I came from Ethiopia. I'm studying computer science at Maharishi University. I came here to speak, to learn speaking, public speaking.
Mickey, and this is my second time. I've been here last week, and I broke this, guys. Excellent.
Excellent. And are you, I can't remember which country.
I'm from Ethiopia.
I was going to say, I know we had Ethiopia last year, or last week in the room. Okay, so we have Ethiopia really going. And that's how Toastmasters works, actually, is someone goes, I can't quite explain it, but you just got to come and see what it is. So thank you for doing that, right?
My name is Bemnet. I'm also from Ethiopia. He brought us here, and it's my third month in America.
Hi, my name is Tumbit Hassan. I'm as well from Ethiopia. And as well my friends brought me here, and I came to Toastmasters to learn how to publicly speak very well.
We made the case last week. We talked to your fellow students last week about how, remember we did, how important it is, whether you're going to be speaking to large groups of people or teams or people that you're collaborating with around the world in other countries. Communication has never been more vital than it is today. You all are probably learning, you probably have some other languages under your belt. English is maybe a second language, which is awesome, because being multilingual in this world is another advantage. But that's a great reason as a student, when you're getting ready to work on you're obviously getting your skill set organized with your computer science or computer professionals, however that is playing out for you. But being able to communicate once you look up from your computer and turn to your neighbor or talk and pick up the phone, that is a key part of your toolbox of tools. So we think it's a really, really good fit for students, Toastmasters. So take a look, see what's happening here. We will have tonight, again, we did have a speaker that had to cancel because like that. And we're just as glad that he's not here, actually, for that reason. But, so we have one speaker tonight, and then we'll have, and you'll remember, we have an opportunity to do impromptu speaking, which is no preparation. You could get up here, you know what baseball is. Baseball, right? Do I get some nods? Okay, you know, the bat and the ball's coming, and you don't know which way the ball's coming until the very, very last second, and you have to make a judgment and swing it. And that's what impromptu table topic speaking is. It's getting a question like it happens in life and seeing how you can answer it. Just start using those brain muscles that, so we want to get over that. We want to be able to be intelligent in that situation. And we'll also be having evaluation. So settle back. Our Vice President of Membership is Mr. Emery Styron up here, who is ready and willing and able to discuss anything related to joining the club at such time as you feel that that might be of interest to you. What are some of the steps for that? Emery, by the way, is a trooper. He's a relatively new Toastmaster, but he drives over every week from Mount Pleasant, so that's a half hour or so away. And you know, at this stage in some of our lives, we don't have to spend time on things that we don't think are very valuable. Is that right, Emery?
That's right.
That's right. So if he comes over here and drives over here every week, he finds it valuable. The same. Okay. Does anybody have I do the most radical thing. I don't even bring my device with me often. So if you have a device that rings, chimes, buzzes, vibrates, please turn it off, because it can be a bit of a distraction for people that are up here. My Vice President of Education just reminded us of that. All right. So we'll wait for everybody to do that. Okay? Everybody good? All right, everybody's good? Okay, good. All right, have I left anything out? We're good. We're going to be talking about our special event towards the end of the meeting, which you all are totally invited to come. It's going to be next week. But stay tuned. We'll get onto that later. Our Toastmaster for the evening, we will have all these roles. There's a number of roles that we have here to put on a meeting. Just go with it. And when people are clapping, just go ahead and clap. Follow the clapping lead. Okay? And keep your hands warm, too. Our Toastmaster for the evening is Rick Starr.
Thank you, Jean. Some people know this, some people don't. It's our esteemed president's birthday today. Oh. So let's all sing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jean. Happy birthday to you.
See, these are kind of impromptu things that can happen. You have to be able to roll with it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right.
We have an agenda, we have a script, and we shall stick to it. At this point, I'd like to introduce the people playing roles and what their roles are tonight. We'll start off with the timer. Donna, and could you please explain your role?
Yes, I am to time the person who's doing the talk, who's going to be doing this evening. His talk should be between 5 to 6 to 7 minutes. And he will be looking at this light. Green will be on at 5 minutes. Yellow will be on at 6 minutes. And red will be on at 7 minutes. The speech evaluators will also have a time limit. It will be 2 to 3 minutes for green, 2 minutes for yellow, 2.5 minutes for yellow, and red, 3 minutes. Table topics will be 1 to 2 minutes. Green for 2 minutes.
1 minute.
1 minute.
Oh, excuse me. 1 minute. green for 1 minute, yellow for 1.5 minutes, and red for 2 minutes. And I will give a report.
By the way, the reason we time speeches is if you're speaking professionally, often you'll be given a certain amount of time. It's important that you hit that time. Now, to explain the role of grammarian, Mr. Art Atkinson.
In my role as grammarian tonight, I have two aspects. One is to listen to the English language being used by the members of the club, people who speak, and to record any particularly graceful or beautiful phrases that I notice. And if it should happen, to record any awkward English that might come up. The other aspect of the grammarian's role tonight is to select and promote the word of the evening. Being that the theme of the meeting, which is on our agendas, was "There is do, there is no try, there is only do." Quote from Yoda. I chose that this evening's word of the evening is persist, meaning to pursue a course of action resolutely, without wavering. An example of a sentence, and you will be able to use the word persist in any of its forms: persistingly, persistent, persistence. In this case, he persisted in his goal to become a public speaker. So I'll be listening for people who use the word persist, and I'll give a report at the end of the meeting on both aspects. Thank you.
I shall ask Andal Krishna to explain the role of A-counter.
Good evening. My role as an A-counter is to know and keep track of words and sounds used as a front or past fillers by anyone who speaks during the meeting, and the use of an inappropriate injunctions such as and, well, but, so, like, you know, as well as sounds like will be made a note, and I will let you know at the end of the meeting. And I persistently will be making note of all this. Thank you.
We'll hear from our general evaluator and joke master later in the meeting. Right now, this is the section on prepared speeches. I'd like to introduce Jean again. She'll be the evaluator for Duard's speech.
On this clapping business, I think a good rule of thumb is whenever someone's leaving, clap, 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 clap. When people are coming up, clap, 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 clap. And if someone says, let's give them another round of applause, clap, 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 clap. So, you guys are doing great. Really good. Keep an eye on that. Duard Straub is going to be doing the first speech in the advanced manual called The Entertaining Speech. Quick note, we have, when you're in Toastmasters, you're building skill sets. You can't start at the advanced level till you've gone through the basic level. And once you've gone through the basic level, you can start branching out and going into some specific types of speeches or speaking that appeals to you. But Toastmasters lays out projects, and there are objectives to every project. And we're looking to see if the speaker completes the objectives and is successful with the objectives. And then as the evaluator, I'm going to be evaluating that performance to see how well did he meet the objectives, and if he didn't, some possible ideas to help him make those objectives in a better way. We don't usually do all this talking, but since we have so many visitors, we want you to understand what's going on. Is that good?
Yes.
Good. All right, good. All right, Deward. So Deward is doing a project called The Entertaining Speech. The objectives are to entertain the audience by relating a personal experience. And secondly, to organize an entertaining speech for maximum impact. His time is going to be 5 to 7 minutes. Deward was born and raised in Nome, Alaska. He was educated at St. Catherine College in Kentucky and also Shimer College in Illinois. He loves reading and the masochistic pleasure of writing. His topic tonight is Smoke, Thunder, and Madness. And Smoke, Thunder, and Madness explores the absurd situations arising from poor roommate selection. How many in this room have never had a roommate? Okay, so this is going to be really interesting. Please help me warmly welcome Deward.
Good evening, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewers at home. One must persist, no matter how absurd reality is. My early years at Shimer College were decadent. Reading the authors of the Western traditions strengthened the mind, which I blasted mercilessly every evening, and I was amazed how it reconstituted every morning to endure the rigors of a great book's education. Classes were small. We sat in a circle and discussed primary texts. Why read about Freud when you can read Freud? During a dialogue about the father of psychoanalysis, I realized I was seated across the room from a man who had lost a rubber chicken fight. He had challenged a taller student. They were in the dorm room hallway, lots of drinking and lots of lunging, and the smaller kid, he couldn't get a lick in, and this bigger kid, wham, landed every time, wham, until the kid's face was glowing red. So, during these classes, I would sometimes laugh, and I often would explain myself. It was astounding. My first roommate found me intolerable. Lots of excess, a lot of freedom in the schools. RAs at other schools, is there some misbehavior going on? At our schools, knock on the door, then you would get what you wanted, or they would just leave you alone. So my first roommate, he was out, and in was Richard. Great fun to drink with, and he had a Shakespearean voice which would boom across the stage during school productions. People loved gathering around him. They loved hearing his stories. And money wasn't scarce, but we spent all our money on liquor and beer. So, one evening, we're having drinks, and Nick is frying Wonder Bread in olive oil, subtly spiced, and he asks me, "Deward, how is your fried bread?" And I said, "Nick, it's pretty nice." And he says, "Good, I'm glad you're enjoying it." His sound system was amazing, and we lived on the second floor, and this thing would thunder. There were these two girls that lived below us, and they would run upstairs all the time, boom, 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 pounding the door. "You gotta turn the music down!" Finally, they would just run up, pound on the door, we would open it, and they would just put their thumb down. One night, this girl named Lauren runs up, pounds on the door, Nick answers, she grabs him, "You have to come to my room." They run down, he came back, he said, "Deward, everything on the surfaces was vibrating and moving around. It was so loud." We would sometimes get carried away when we didn't have class on Wednesdays. So one Wednesday afternoon, I passed out very early. And I wake up to this bearded, spectacled man, "You have to get out of the room." And I said, "Get the bleep out of here." And then I noticed the room was filled with smoke, and I'm having a coughing fit, and they helped me out into the hallway. And Nick shows up and says, "Deward, I'm so sorry, I forgot the breadsticks." So I'm coughing in the hallway, And then after a while, I see him scribbling on the walls with these charcoal sticks of bread. That's about the time I decided I needed to get out of here. And then one morning I woke up and the stereo was in a wood box. And I'm walking, it's in the morning, and I'm walking to the fridge for beer. Classes weren't going to start till 10. So in the wooden box the stereo was housed in, there was this large knife impaled through an onion. And I decided I should probably find someone else to live with because I don't know what happened. People were shocked when I chose Bill to live with. It's like, I can't believe you're going to stay with this guy. So a lot of my friends stopped coming over, which meant I had more time to study. Bill, we listened to a lot of heavy music and was aggressive, so I didn't understand some of his behaviors, the way he would express himself. One night, he does this thing like he's going to break dance, and then he goes into this karate stance. And what is this karate dance thing? He should have been filmed all the time. He cut his own hair. He looked like a janitor. He had the key rings, and he had a lot of attitude and a strange look. And confusing to be around, but he cut his hair way too short, and so it was just over his ears, and it was really greasy this one day, and he was kind of surly, and he's trying not to make eye contact, and he's just waiting for me to say something about his hair, and it's just very weird. And he had a big, thick pair of glasses. They were brown with the tiger striping, and if they weren't falling off of his face, he was dropping them, so they were taped together, and sometimes he held them together with safety glasses, and I said, I want to take a picture of you. And he said, no, because people would think I was weird. So finally, he just had a half pair of glasses, and he would sit at a table. He took himself very seriously, and he would be trying to explain to me how the aliens are controlling the government with this pair of glasses on his head, tilted. So I decided it was time to find a different roommate. Raleigh. Very charming fellow. Until he lost his girlfriend to someone he used to be really good friends with. And so one night they're shouting outside of our apartment door, "He said you're my brother! He said you're my brother!" It's like 2 or 3 in the morning. Finally, before they were forcibly separated, they're shouting back and forth, "I!" And we're like, oh, okay. Everybody in the dorm's awakened. This is nonsense. So, one afternoon, Zen Master Fritzy, because of his laid-back teaching style, he's walking through campus, and he brings Charlie into Raleigh, into a room full of students and says, "Hey, could you guys keep an eye on Raleigh? I found him in a dumpster. He said he was throwing himself away." So I figured, all right, it's probably time to get away from this guy. So, be careful about who you decide to room with. Because you might have to step over them because they're naked and passed out on the floor. Or they might disrupt your spaghetti dinner, crawling through the window shouting, "I'm just trying to love you, man!" Ladies and gentlemen.
So there.
And then there was silence.
Took me by surprise. So take a couple of minutes and fill out an evaluation form for everyone, please. Thank you, we're back. Madam Timer, could you tell us if Deward qualified?
Deward did qualify.
Thank you.
Did.
And now it's time for the evaluation section of our program. To evaluate Deward's speech, Jean Symington Craig.
I mean, clapping makes the person up here feel good. Doesn't it kind of make you feel good too when you clap? Don't you feel sort of something? All right. Just to make sure that you know that. Don't time this yet. We're just doing a little prepping here. Let's just okay. On the count of 3, let's all clap and like notice what you feel. Okay, 1, 2, 3. everywhere. Okay, so that's what we might as well feel good while we're here, yes? Okay. Fellow Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home, and particularly Deward. I laugh out loud with Deward. He is a very good storyteller. I'm going to follow the questions from the manual objectives and give feedback. So I'm asked, what indicated to me that the audience was entertained? I did see eyes pretty much on Deward. People weren't writing book reviews or doing crossword puzzles separately. It looked like everybody was looking at Deward, and there was a lot of laughter. I think there was a lot of laughter. I was laughing a lot. So I think everybody else was laughing. Briefly describe the talk's organization as I perceived it. Well, he told us about a series of roommates. And that was his organization and stories around each one. That was entertaining. And his organization also had this structure of he'd take us through stories about a particular roommate, Nick, or Bill, or Raleigh, and each time he'd come back to, after some really strange thing had happened, and I decided it was time to get a new roommate. So you could just see him kind of rolling along through roommates. That was really nice. I wish there had been more, actually. You may not have made it through alive, though, if you had more.
Stories like that.
More, yeah. How effectively did the speaker use vivid descriptions and anecdotes or stories? Large knife impaled through an onion. Glasses with tiger stripes. He had greasy hair that was chopped off too short. Really, the language gave us a good picture of what was going on. He didn't just say, stuck a nut, stuck an onion. He really got that going. And then how did the conclusion relate to the rest of the talk? Well, he actually gave us a call to action, which was that listen to the stories I've told and be careful who you pick for a roommate, because you may have to be stepping over them lying down. Now, this may not be all students' experience, but this was Deward's experience back in the day when he was wild and woolly. How could the speaker improve the talk? Well, right at the beginning, he talked about a rubber chicken fight. Now, that might not have been something that anybody knew what that was. So the rubber chicken fight, because we didn't have rubber chicken fights when I went to college, but I knew what you were talking about, something slapping a rubber chicken around, guys. I can just imagine how it developed. But you might explain what a rubber chicken fight is. And then also perhaps a little slower around some of the punchlines so that people could really get that. But his strengths are he's got gestures all the time. He's walking, he's doing stuff. That's really fun. He's got lots of vocal variety, Shakespeare, and all of those louds and softs and pauses. And then finally, so many humorous comments that he makes, just about how inebriated everybody really is. Very funny. I had to cut it a little short because I had the red light, so trying to, like that. Okay.
Hello, Toastmasters guests, viewers at home. I'm the general evaluator tonight. The general evaluator is the one who evaluates the meeting, and generally we do in this Toastmaster club that the general evaluator evaluates the evaluator.
Yep.
So my role is to evaluate the evaluator. So this is the third section of the meeting.
Dr. Rajat's calling up the table topics master.
Here I came. Okay. So first I would like to call the table topic master tonight, Prana Ryan Miller.
persist on this theme of entertainment and humor and jollity, if that's a word. Let's talk about something that we all enjoy generally from time to time, movies. We like to watch movies. I like to watch movies. You like to watch movies. Okay, great. So, the theme of the night is Star Wars, and I saw the new Star Wars. If you have, you might relate to some of these questions. If you haven't, you still might relate. But Table Topics is an opportunity to tell us in 1 or 2 minutes an impromptu response to a question, and I will be giving the questions. And if you want to participate, you can join. I'll just pick you. But anyways, there's 5 questions, and we might be able to get through all of them. So the theme again is movies. So I have MOVIES, and you can pick any one of those letters which corresponds to a question. So start out. Anybody want to join or start out with the table topic tonight?
Oh, you're doing the evaluator.
All right. What's your letter of choice between MOVIES?
I'm going to choose V.
V. Okay. Have you seen the new Star Wars movie? If so, convince us why we should watch it. And by new, I mean the one that came out like 2 weeks ago, or whatever.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
I'm going to take the allowable 30 seconds to... Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home. I have seen the latest episode in the Star Wars franchise, the movie The Force Awakens. Made a special trip just to see the movie on the big screen. Sue and I did that now about 10 days ago. The most fun that I had in seeing this movie was connected with watching the character, the young woman whose name is now not occurring to me. I'll probably remember it while I'm speaking to you. But the thing that I liked most about the movie was the fact that she went through a transformation and started inhabiting her own power. I love movies that have a transformational story where somebody starts out with one fixed way of being and the elements of the story compel that person to eventually let go of that way of being and adopt something new and transform into somebody else. And this young woman, Rey, definitely transformed into something else. At the beginning of the movie, we see her lacking confidence, lacking substance, lacking in almost every area of her life. But she's persisting in sticking around because she's expecting someone from her family to return and rejoin her. And the whole arc of the story is how this young woman claims her power as a master of the Force and begins exerting her own will on the fight that's before them to overcome the First Order. This was a lot of fun to watch. I had read extensively about the movie before seeing it. I had read extensively about J.J. Abrams, the director, and his process before seeing the movie, and it measured up in every way. I had a lot of fun seeing it. I recommend it to anybody. It's one of the best in the Star Wars series. Mr. Tabletop.
All right. That's hard to follow up, but is anybody willing to try their luck at the table topics here? Any new members? I mean, new guests here? Should I give it a shot? Have you seen Star Wars? No? Okay. There are non-Star Wars related questions I could ask you if you're interested in doing that. On that note, anybody? You want to give it a shot? Non-Star Wars question?
Either was it.
You don't have to watch Star Wars. It can be about other things. I've got other questions. I got lots of questions.
Open-ended.
Open-ended. Yeah, and the thing I forgot to mention, you can say pretty much, you can segue into a story of your life or anything that you want to share about movies in general or your journey. It doesn't have to be about the question. You can segue into. Okay, we're getting pretty low. Okay, Jean, thank you.
And after that, we're going to let you guys. Okay.
Pick a letter if you want a specific Star Wars question. Pick a letter over Star Wars, definitely.
I want you to give me a question that if I haven't seen whatever the movie is that you're talking about, that I
Yeah.
still have something I can
Okay.
get traction on from your question.
Yes.
I don't want to have to go,
Gotcha.
thank you for that question, now I want to talk about macaroni and cheese.
Okay, this is a pretty question. Do you relate more to the villain or the hero in a movie? Okay, all right.
Question. Okay. By the way, don't time me in. You're allowed up to 30 seconds to think about it, because that's what happens in life usually. If someone asks you a question, you're allowed to. Mr. Table Topics Master, fellow Golden speakers, honored guests, and viewers at home. Do I relate to the hero or the villain more? That is a very interesting question because it relates to how the hero and or the villain have been portrayed and developed in the movie. One example would be, I don't know if you know about Alan Rickman, who is a famous actor, British actor who was in the Harry Potter series, who just recently died. He played the Sheriff of Nottingham, who was a bad guy, in the Robin Hood movie with Kevin Costner. Now, Kevin Costner is Robin Hood and is the hero. Sheriff Nottingham was the bad guy, but Alan Rickman played the Sheriff of Nottingham so well. I laughed, I had fun with him. I thought he was a more interesting character than straight-laced Robin Hood. I think I probably am fairly amenable to whatever the film director wants me to feel. If I'm supposed to like the hero, I generally go that way. If I'm supposed to like the villain, I generally go that way. One thing I really have noticed about myself with movies is violence and killing. I don't seem to have a problem with killing if it's between warriors or one group of bad guys and another group of bad guys or like that. I don't seem to have as much of a problem with that, but when it's violence on innocents, women and children and things like that, that really bugs me. I just, tell me when it's over, tell me when it's over, tell me. Okay, so that's another little thing that I've noticed about that for movies and myself. Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. See how you do it? Yep.
All right,
Okay.
next up, we've still got 3 questions to go.
You got one right here.
You got it? You're in it? Okay.
Okay.
Nice to meet you. Okay. M-O-I-S. Which one? Pick a letter.
S.
S. Okay. If you were, this is the question. If you were in the interview process and you were going to get hired to work on the set of a movie, for example, Star Wars, what role, what would your character be in that movie? Like, what would you really, just tell us about your character in a movie. You're going to be in a movie, and that's the question. Does that make sense? You're going to,
Yeah, so I haven't seen Star Wars, so I can
Okay.
just make up something.
Yeah.
Pick up something. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
If
All
you're
right.
going to be in a movie, what character would you like to play? Yeah. What do you think?
Sorry. Okay. So if I ever had the chance to be in a movie, I would probably prefer to do documentaries, so that I can be the guy who can travel around, see places, and do all those things. I mean, mix with the locals, do the things that they do, and I mean, the reason I'm saying this is because I've had the chance to travel 3 or 4 different countries. And with those experiences, I still have memories that I can get out of my mind very easily. So because of that, if I ever have the chance to be in any kind of movie, I think I would prefer to be in those positions. And I'm probably an actor, hero or villain, but then as long as I'm traveling and as long as I have the chance to look at those places and experience the culture, I think that would be a great experience as a movie star and as a person. So I would prefer that kind of roles.
Good. So that leaves us with 2 remaining questions. Anybody want to grab a question here? Try it. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Any members that are not doing a role could join us as well.
Andal.
Andal. Thank you.
Nadal.
Would you like to pick M, I, or I guess O? I. Okay. Again, this is a movie-related question. If your life was turned into a movie, or if your life was a movie, what genre would it be?
Woohoo.
If your life was a movie, like historically going back on your life, what genre would it be? Okay. All right.
Good evening, Toastmasters, guests, viewers at home. So with the topic, if I would connect my life to any movie, I think I would connect to the Star Wars. Well, I think when George Lucas created the story of Star Wars, he had the war happening in the stars. But I think in my life, I mean, everyday activity, all these characters are within me. Like the Darth Vaders and Yoda, and the Luke is within myself and the other characters, where there's a lot of war happening within myself to make a decision whether I should go this way, or which is the right thing for me to do at the moment. For example, in the morning today when I woke up, I was so tempted to have coffee. And this war is happening within myself that I shouldn't drink coffee, which is not good for my health. But then I still want to have coffee. And then in the morning I persistently fight against the Darth Vader, and then I win the war being Luke. And then when I walk to my office in the morning, pass by my kitchen, I'm still again pulled by the coffee, which is made by the other staff members, and I walked to my kitchen, and then again I had the same war going within myself. Should I take the coffee or not? Should I take the coffee or not? And then I end up, okay, let me take some warm water and leave the room. So again, I win the war. So I think in everyday activity, in every walk of our life, we have this war happening within ourselves. It all depends on how we win the war, or even attempt to win. You don't have to even win. Sometimes you don't win the war, but still the persistency to win the war is what makes our life better. Thank you.
Maybe one more unless we want to call it.
Nobody's going to.
All right, Jody. Good. Star Wars battle. Get out your lightsaber. You ready? Okay. I think there is 2 questions. It can be M or S.
Yes.
S. Okay. This question is not related to Star Wars.
Okay, that's good.
What is one of your favorite movies, and tell us something you remember about watching it for the first time? So.
Fellow Toastmasters guests and viewers at home, I grew up in a time when we didn't have television in my country. It is, I'm talking about my country, Nepal. That time we didn't have video, or we didn't have television or nothing. I saw the first movie, when I was 9 years old. Till I was 9 years old, I didn't know there's something exists called movie. There is something called movie. I never knew. So what happened was my neighbor, they were always visiting all over the world, touring all around the world, and they went to Germany, and they bought a big machine. There's a big machine with big roll, and now I knew that after a long time, I knew that it was a projector, 35mm projector, which was make a big sound, and the sound comes from different place, and we watch in the big curtain, white curtain. And we didn't have those Indian or the language, like Nepali language, we didn't have any movie, because this 35mm has only European thing or English thing. So until 11, I think, I didn't understand anything from the movie. So I was just watching what's going on the screen. And when I was 11, we got this big box, round box, and somebody told me that it is a television, but my neighbor got it. Mm-hmm. And we're told that, okay, you can see the whole world in this. So I thought, until 12, 13 years, I thought that the television, I can see anything there. So I thought that, okay, I will just switch it on and say, okay, I want to see Washington, D.C., USA, then I can see there. So that was my thought. But when I started watching the television, when we bought the white television when I was 13, 14, then only I understood that, okay, television means somebody has to broadcast it from somewhere and we can watch. And the my first movie was this Tom and Jerry, the cartoon. I still remember that was the only cartoon we had. I saw that for a long time, maybe thousands times. Thank you.
Let's see if everybody qualified tonight for the Toastmasters Give a Topic section. Donna, everybody qualified? All right. Should we?
So let's go through the names.
Could you read the names so we can vote? Just read the names. If you got the names of everybody.
For the speaker viewer,
We're talking all the table topics. Yeah.
Art, Jean,
What's your name? Nikki.
Mickey.
Nikki.
Nikki,
Nikki.
Mickey with an M.
Sorry.
Mickey,
Mickey.
Mickey.
Like,
Mickey Mantle.
as in Mickey, yeah, or mouse, or
Mickey, not the mouse.
Yeah.
Mickey.
McDonald's.
Mickey
Anton,
Yeah.
and Jyoti.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, so please vote on the thin strip of paper. Continue the next portion of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Is it ready?
Yes.
Okay. So as I told you before, my role is to evaluate the evaluator. And this club, we evaluate the evaluator, as a general evaluator. So
Yep.
first we'll,
Table topics evaluator.
I like to call table topic evaluator.
Yeah.
To evaluate.
Good evening, guests, fellow members. There are some of you out there and viewers at home. Evaluating table topics is a little bit intimidating to me because there's so much to pack in such a short time, but if I persist, I hope I'll eventually master that skill. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 good table topic speakers tonight, and I will evaluate each. Art, why should we watch the new Star Wars movie? Art greeted the audience. He made good eye contact, and he gave us a thought with some substance. He loves these movies because of their transformational stories. He had a good summation at the end, which is very important in table topics, and he finished with what we might call a wow statement. I recommend you see it. It's one of the best. Suggestions for art: more vocal variety, more enthusiasm. You're kind of a quiet guy, and if you really want us to see it, tell us. Got it. Don't curb your enthusiasm. Jean, do you relate more to a villain or a hero? You took a little time to think. You greeted the audience. You settled on a good example of Alan Rickman playing the sheriff in Robin Hood. You used a lot of gestures, especially like the hands on your head when you didn't want to see any more violence. Suggestions for improvement: more stage movement. You were lively with your hands in one spot, but more use of both sides and center of the stage. And I think you might have did a recap and kind of closed it off a little bit.
Yeah.
Mickey, congratulations stepping forward here as a guest. What character would you be in a movie? You were extremely calm in this kind of new situation, so I applaud that. You had a strong gaze out, though I would suggest you try to focus more on individual members of the audience. You're kind of just above our heads, it looked like. And you had an excellent point of that you would like to be the documentary filmmaker character in a movie. And I would say that if you can, in a situation like that, there's magic in threes. If you could come up with 2 additional points, that would be even stronger. But the one you made was very good. And all, also calm, composed, beautiful smile, greeted the audience, and you came up with a wonderful, deep thought there. All the characters are within me, and a great way to think about Star Wars. Good eye contact and a good recap. Just a little more work on your movements. You tended to play to this side of the stage and not so much to that one. Jyoti greeted the audience, very free with your hand movements, loved your sound effects, and it was an interesting story of your introduction to television in Nepal as a not very young boy. I would suggest that you try to have a recap and bring it back to a close. And that is my report. Thank you.
Now we'll vote for our best evaluator. Did both of our evaluators qualify? Donna?
Yes.
Okay, so both qualified.
Who's the first evaluator?
What's the name? What's the name of the
Jean and
Jean and Emery. Jean Symington Craig and Emery. Now it's the report time. So first we'll hear from our timer, Donna Lindley.
Table topics, Art, 2 minutes. Jean, 2 minutes. Mickey, 1 minute. On-hall, 2 minutes. Jyoti, 2 minutes. Jean was 3 minutes as an evaluator, and Emery was 4 minutes.
We'll hear from our grammarian, Art Atkinson. Art, can you please tell us what did you find?
So those who used the word of the evening, persist. Stewart used it. Ryan, I did. Andal used persistently. Colorful or graceful language. I really like the phrase from Dewar, the rigors of a great book's education. And his image of charcoal sticks of bread. And his phrase, found in a dumpster, I was throwing myself away. And the knife impaled through an onion. The word impaled is so juicy. I like Jean's macaroni and cheese comment. And Jyoti, his comment that he thought that he could see the whole world
Within that box.
in this TV. That's my report.
Now we have the report from our counter, Andal.
Overall, everyone did well. I just see a few markings here. Jean, 2N, Jyoti, 2R, 3N, and 1 repeated word, I thought. Jude didn't have anything. Ryan, 1 so, Emery, 1R, and 1N. That's it. Thank you.
Now it's the time for a joke. Joke. You are a joke master.
Oh, Lord. I mean, that happens within conversation. I don't know that I can remember. Let's see here. God. Good at stories.
Let's do
I
your
got one.
evaluation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Art would be better.
Art.
All right, Art's
Got
got
one.
one. Okay, Art's got one.
So explanation here. Jean-Paul Sartre is the author of a big tome by the name Being and Nothingness. Jean-Paul Sartre is sitting in a little cafe working on the final draft of Being and Nothingness. And the waitress comes over and said, "Would you like coffee, sir?" And he says, "Yes, I'd like it, but with no cream." And she says, "Monsieur, we're out of cream. Could it be with no milk?"
I don't get that. I got to think about that a little bit.
This versus the creamer and the milk, the same thing. I didn't understand the first time when I was in McDonald's and I asked for a coffee and so do you need creamer or something? She said, I don't know about that. And I just want milk. I didn't want all this stuff. I didn't know that concept. Okay, so this is the time. Now I have a chance to I'm so excited to do this evaluation.
Let's get interrupted this time.
So I'll start with Jean. She evaluated doer, and she started with the appreciation. So she appreciated doer for what it did, and she followed the manual. And she had very good gestures. She mimicked what he did, like she showed rolling through this something. She just rolled, and she had a very good gestures. She had a very good eye contact. So she was here. Sometimes she was on the camera, and she was doing this to the audience, this side of the audience. She had this suggestion too. That was a very good suggestion for the people like me, because I didn't know what the chicken fight was. Because I never fought with those rubber chicken. But I know what rubber chicken is, because Rick once bought that rubber chicken. I said, yeah, maybe that is the rubber chicken. I don't know if that's the one which he was talking about. So that was a very good suggestion, because there are so many people who might not know about what the rubber chicken. So if he had given some little bit of insight on what it is, then that would be a fabulous thing. And she has the sandwich-like evaluation. First she appreciated, and then she has the suggestion, and again she ended with the appreciation. And that was really a very good suggestion. Evaluation. I didn't find much to suggest her this time. Next time I'll do that. And for Emery, he was a table topic evaluator, and table topic evaluation is really a tough job to do, because we have 4 or 5 speakers, and they are very different. And so it's a very tough job. But he had suggestion and appreciation for each and everybody. He appreciated everybody, what they did well, and he had a suggestion what they could improve on. So he talked about, he gave suggestion to Art about his vocal variety, Jean for stage movement, Mickey for a few more points to deal with, and with the movement. So he had suggestion for everybody, but the only thing I want to suggest is like he lost his eye contact. So you didn't have much of eye contact, and because you were most of the time you were on your the notes, that lost your eye contact with us. So if you could improve eye contact on this, and that would be. And one suggestion you would have given Mickey about his we congratulated him. That was a very good gesture, because his first time, and but it's like if he had suggested in eye contact, so you would have improved that. That's the only my suggestion to you. Saying that, I end my evaluation and I bring back our Toastmaster, Rick Starr.
Thank you, Jyoti. Do we have the winners of the table topics and evaluations, competitions?
Daily count.
Looks like they haven't been counted.
All right, let's take a second.
Are they counted?
Just took one. Yeah. Jeez,
please. Winner of Best Table Topics is Hondo. Another drum roll. The winner of Best Evaluator, Emery. And the winner of Best Speaker, Dewar. And now I'd like to turn the meeting over to our birthday girl, Jean Symington Craig.
Okay. All right. Just one little housekeeping detail, just because we had the ballots. So here's what we do with ballots. If you're picking up the ballots, you're the one who's jumped up and is helping, and you take them to the back. You want to go ahead and count them, get the winner, and then make sure that gets to the Toastmaster. So the Toastmaster, when he comes up here, he or she comes up at the end, has 3 little pieces of paper with the winners. That's just how we do that. Okay. Guests. So far, so good?
Yes.
Interesting?
Very.
Congratulations, Mickey, for getting up. See what happens if you come again. We see you, and then we say, okay, let's see if we can, great. And this is all about muscles also. So this bit we just went through with Jyoti Raj evaluating evaluators. You may have thought, this is a little dry, but it's a muscle. So we talked about this last week, talked about it with students, but we're learning how to prepare speeches. That's one kind of muscle group. You have objectives, and you try to put together a communication that is going to meet those objectives. We have impromptu speaking, that was the table topics. That's a whole different set of muscles. Whole different set of muscles. When you start out, just like at a gym, your muscles don't, you can maybe do 5 pounds. But if you keep coming week after week, all of a sudden it's 10, it's 15, it's 20. That's just how it works. So that's what we're doing here. We have a weekly communication workout using a variety of muscle groups. That evaluation muscle group is the one like I did for Dewar and Emery did on our table topics. That is, we know what are the criteria for a good performance. Take a given performance and evaluate how well did it work, how did it not work, what are some suggestions. That's something you're going to run into in just about any professional walk of life that you find yourself in. Because you're, as leaders, you're going, are we going in the right direction? What is the right direction? How are we meeting the right direction, and how are we going in the wrong direction, and how do we get ourselves going back in the right direction? That's a muscle group that we want to work out. And then with Jyoti Raj, because we want to be looking at how are we developing our evaluation skills, we have our general evaluator who oversees our evaluation meeting evaluate how well we did as evaluators. So that gets pretty abstract, but we think that's really important because that's how as a club we grow. As speakers, as tabletop topics performers, and also as our as evaluators. Okay, so that's a quick run by of why we're doing all these things. So you can look up there and you can be saying, I don't know what he's saying, but I know he's working out, so that's a good thing. Now at this point, so let me just see, we have about 10 minutes. Next week we are having a special event. It's not going to be here. It's going to be at the library, the Fairfield Public Library. We're having a gentleman named Corey May, he's won our state championship both in inspirational speaking, in table topic speaking. He's really just a very dynamic guy. You may have seen some picture, you may have actually seen a flyer or so. I don't know where they are on campus. We tried to get those up on campus. It'll be starting at 7:30 next week, 7:30 to 9. We are going to have refreshments. We encourage people just to come. He's going to be very good, very fun. It's very fun, lively, very professional. And then we'll have some other activities. It's just all good. But this is our final meeting before we have our big event next week. And we're definitely looking for members. We're looking to share ourselves with the community and see who wants to join us. Rick Starr is our event coordinator. We now need to take about 10 minutes to do some organizing. And we thought we would put it out to the guests, you guys. You're absolutely welcome to stay and see how this all works. Or you can decide, okay, you want to leave and get going. So we're going to go ahead and get going. You guys can sort of do eye communication and decide what you want to do, but is that all right? Does that work for everybody? Yes? Is that okay? So you okay, so I'm going to presume you're staying here unless you get up and leave. And
Well, let's give, if you want to leave, now's the time to do it. I just want to say, definitely try to come next week. It'll be great. This guy's a great speaker, and whether or not you want to join, it'll be very entertaining.
Yeah, it's fun. Okay. So I'll let you get started. Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
You saying?
Go ahead.
All right. So I'm going to go over the special event. There's several things to cover. If you have any questions at any time, feel free to interrupt me. As Jean mentioned, it's next Tuesday, the 7:30 to 9 p.m. at the Fairfield Public Library. We've done some secret signals there. We've done what we hope is sufficient publicity. We have 2 weeks of ads and an article in the Fairfield Weekly Reader. As Jean mentioned, we put up posters in key retail locations, MUM, and several people put them up at their workplace. I have some extra posters in my car. I forgot to bring them in. So if anyone knows anywhere this can be put up, please take the posters.
Rick, do you have more of the 8.5 by 11 sign?
Yes.
I'd like another 5 to 7.
Good. So we'll go out afterwards. Anybody else, just meet me afterwards, and I probably have a dozen or so left.
Okay, good.
Will created a great Facebook event, and I've already been shared via 2 or 3 Facebook friends. If you've gotten this event, if you've been invited, please share it or invite people to it on Facebook, your friends. It'd be very helpful.
Rick?
Yes?
Where do they find it on Facebook? What are we under?
What are we up to? That's a good question. I only know because I got it.
Golden Speakers.
Golden Speakers Toastmasters Club, and there's a link to the event on that. Thank you, Jean. Good point.
Right there on the
We have a couple of PSAs, and today something exciting. The speaker, Corey, agreed to do an interview on Melinda Arndt's show on KRUU. Her show is called Around Town, and it's tomorrow morning at 8:30. So he's going to do a live interview then, and it'll be rebroadcast 6:30 to 7 at night. So if you want to just get a listen to what he sounds like, this was very, very, very generous of him to do that. Yes?
What's the radio?
It's 100.1 FM. KRUU 100.1 FM, local solar-powered radio station. So I've reserved the room from 6:30 to 9:30. I know 6:30 is a little early for people to get there, but all members would like you to come at least by 7 to help set up. Let me just explain what the structure of the meeting will be. Jean Symington Craig is the Toastmaster. She'll give the introduction. Now Corey is going to do table topics himself, so Jean will introduce Tori. Then she'll introduce him as the keynote speaker. He'll give a very, very entertaining speech. Dan Craig is going to give an evaluation of Corey, just as we did here. And then we have a panel interview, a panel of 4 Toastmaster members, and Louis Denbaum will interview them. My understanding it's Stewart, Emery, Donna, and Andal. Is that right?
Woo!
Huh?
Distinguished.
Oh yeah, that's what it says, distinguished panel. I guess, I don't know how I did it. And after that, Louis will interview Corey for a few minutes. We'll have some closing remarks, and then we'll have refreshments and a meet and greet at the end. So, as I mentioned, try to be there as early as possible. We don't need any audiovisual equipment, but except a mic I'll have set up. Emery, maybe we could get together after this and talk about the literature at the back of the room and what we'll need. We're asking all members to wear your badges so that way people who are here and interested in Toastmasters can talk to you. We'll have a table in the lobby for the food that's set up. And I was thinking of borrowing the banner stand from the Cambridge Club so we can hang our banner either inside the room or out of it. The timer of the meeting to time the speech and the table topics will be Will. Emery is heading the membership drive, and Donna has volunteered to set up the food. We'd like all members to bring some food to this. It's going to be after the meeting, so it's snacks, cookies, cake, something to drink, and Donna will coordinate that. Any questions? We're very excited about this. It's going to be a great event, and you guessed if you can come, I think you'll enjoy it very much. Yes.
Do we need to be a member to come here and to participate this every Tuesday's program?
That's a good question. We encourage people to be members after you've been here, but on the other hand, we've never refused anyone who wants to come and participate. So, Jean, you have a better answer to this than I do.
Yes. So, does anyone have a competent communicator manual? Okay. Well, I talked about those manuals and how you sign up, like Deward scheduled his speech tonight, and he starts worrying. And so if you're not a member, you can't do that because it's like auditing a course. I don't even know if it's like auditing a course because maybe you can, but it's like you can't actually get up and do those manuals. You can, if you're a guest, as you saw, come up and do the occasional table topics, though we do also want to make sure our members get that workout, because they're the club members. So, what we usually say for guests is that come, enjoy. Some people have been guests for longer than others, and that's completely fine. But ultimately, you don't really start getting traction until you start actually, committing and getting into the program. Does that kind of make it? So it's friendly, but it's not as much as what you would want to get. Totally. Okay. I don't even know who asked the question. You did? You asked the question? I just heard a voice in the back. Okay.
So let's just go over what we're going to bring. We're going to bring the badges. We're going to bring this lectern and the mallet. And what else we're going to bring? Literature, rubber chicken. We're going to bring literature and membership forms. We should check now to make sure we have enough.
There is a new member application from Toastmasters International.
Okay, can you print some of those out? Okay. And I have extra literature at Cambridge. I could bring that. Anything else we need to bring that we can think of for the meeting? Dan will bring the camera. I'll give it back to you to give to Dan.
Okay.
The ribbons.
Huh?
The ribbons.
No, we don't do ribbons.
We don't.
Timing light.
Yes, timing light. So that'll be in the camera bag.
Okay,
Yep.
okay.
Anything we're missing?
Camera bag,
The extensions to
thing
the
is-
camera bag,
so pathetic.
Mike,
the mics and, yeah, the mic and the camera and everything.
But you'll get the mic for Corey.
At the
All right,
library,
the
yep.
library, we got this.
That's it. If we forgot it, we'll come back and get it. Thank you all very much. Hope to see you guests at the meeting, and I hope to see the rest of you there.
Yeah, good, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, very good, thank you. Thank you for talking it up.